Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. We are joined today by Jess. What's up?
Not much.
Not much. You're so quiet. Like we test the levels, and I'm like, talk like you're gonna normally talk.
I
You're
know.
Like, so good.
Sorry.
It's.
I was just telling Jared. I went home yesterday and crashed. I was out cold by 8:00 last night.
Yeah.
And slept until 8:00 this morning.
Dude, those days, whenever that happens, it's like you can feel them coming up,
Yes.
like leading up
Yes.
to it, like the days leading up to it. You're like, so okay, this is what's gonna happen.
Yep.
I'm gonna crash. I'm gonna burn. I'm gonna sleep
And
for
it was
half a
great.
day. Yeah.
It was fabulous. But then I woke up with a headache, so I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, it's starting to go away though. I took whatever that stuff's called, headache medicine.
Yeah.
So
The
but I'm
Excedrin, the migraine ones.
Yeah.
Have you tried that?
I think that's what I had. I don't know. It's some kind of headache relief is what I took this morning. So
That one's good because it has like caffeine in it.
yeah.
So if you're
I've
ever
also
dealing-
had my Dr. Pepper this morning, so I should be great.
Yeah. I'm feeling good. I had water.
That's what's in here.
That's all I've
That's what's in here.
eaten today is water. But I mean it's typical. And then we've got a lunch this afternoon with a special group of people, and then but one of the crazy things is that summer it's like we are
Listen.
knocking on the door
It
of
is.
summer.
So my favorite, this is the funniest. I wish that I could remember like who posted it, but I'm on this like children's pastor's Facebook page or whatever, and it is the funniest. There's this meme, and I don't remember like who the front person is, but it's Jason Momoa and then another guy.
It's Henry Cavill, the guy
that
who
who
played
it is?
Superman.
Okay, so in the meme, because
Yeah.
that meme has gone around and they just like replace it with stuff.
Yeah.
But the meme was the Henry
Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Okay, he's the front guy, and the front guy, it's like the caption said, Easter activities are finished.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like in the background, Jason Momoa is like coming up, like
It's
really
vice
funny.
versa. Jason Momoa's in the front, and Henry Cavill
Is that what it
sneaking up
is?
behind him.
So he's like sneaking up behind, and then the person on the back is like, "Here comes VBS," and I was like,
Yes.
I have never seen a more accurate
Dude,
meme in my life, because literally I feel like we finished all the Easter stuff
Yeah.
and it was instantly like, boom, here comes VBS, you better start. And I'm like, luckily, like we already had our theme and things like that already done, but now it's like full, like, let's go. We got 6 weeks, like pounding it out, let's get it going, and
Yeah.
boom. But it was like, man, but that meme, every time I see it on one of those children's pastor pages, it makes me laugh, because I'm like, I feel that 1,000%. I feel that.
I think one of the things that I'm like really excited for this year is to see what Linda comes up with the theme and everything.
I have sad
She-
news. I have sad news.
Don't even start.
I do. I have sad news. Mimi is not doing the snacks this year.
What?
I know.
Did she
I
politely
know.
Decline?
She did.
Oh,
She
my
may still help
word.
out, but she's not going to be doing them this year. I have asked Rachel Reesberg.
Okay.
So Rachel's going to do it. She said, "I need the themes." That's a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
After we had like crab watermelons and dolphin bananas and
Jelly's Ocean.
I mean,
and all
goodness
that.
gracious.
Jell-O Ocean.
It was a lot. That's a lot.
It was fantastic. Yeah. Well, I think
know.
that if you had to have someone that's going to fill in and kind of meet the expectations with
Yeah.
that, I think Rachel
Yeah.
is the person to do that.
Yep.
Growing up, I think it was one of the things that like I looked forward to as well was, the VBS, the summer camps and everything. For for you, maybe talk about like some of these memories that you have with VBS, like summer camp,
Yeah.
like the church activities in the summer. Do you have like a favorite memory? Do you have like something that you always think about? Maybe that whenever you're planning these VBS and
Yeah,
these
I mean,
camps, like
I
okay, like how do we
definitely,
create these moments for
yeah,
kids?
I definitely think that like growing up, I feel like maybe for us, because we are in that. You just turned 40, but I'm in that. I have 1 year left in my 30s, so we're in that age group right now. But for us, I feel like when we were growing up, like
It's
VBS.
beginning to look. You're gonna start looking like you got paint in your hair
I
every
do.
every day.
Listen, that's why it's in a claw clip because I have paint all in the back of my hair. It looks like I have major gray hair right now. But it's paint. I promise, it's white paint.
Yeah.
But I think for probably in our age group, VBS was a big deal growing up. Like Vacation Bible School was a big deal,
Yeah.
especially here in this Bible Belt. Like I feel like VBS was a big, big deal, and even church camp. And so, like, I mean, I loved going to VBS when we were
Yeah.
growing up. I still remember like sitting in the we called it the fellowship hall, sitting in the fellowship hall at Elk River and having snack with our friends and playing games and all of those fun things. Like I
Yeah.
remember all of that. I also remember one of the things like when we would go on vacation, we always go to Surfside Beach
Mm-hmm.
in South Carolina, and when we would go growing up, there was this little Baptist church right up the road from where we stayed, and it never failed. They were always in Bible school while we were down there, and there were times where we would go to Bible school
That's
at the
awesome.
beach. And it was just always a lot of fun because it's like so a lot of times it was like the same thing that maybe we had already done here, but it was like, oh, this is cool because we get to do this again.
Yeah.
But then doing it at the beach, like who would have thought that you could go to Vacation Bible School on vacation?
I think that happened maybe once with us, and I think we got dropped off. Maybe I'm making this up. I don't know. My mom will probably text me whenever she
Let
listens
us
to
know.
this, and yeah, I'll do a follow up or something. But I want to say that maybe I don't know. I just feel like we were in the middle of something important, and it could have been the hometown I grew up in, but we were just dropped off and were like, why is this happening? Or maybe it was just like a completely different church.
Yeah.
But for us, like we had like pretty much the same theme every year for
Mm-hmm.
VBS. They bought. I don't know if you remember this or if you were ever like got to experience this in
Yeah.
church culture growing up, but there was like this mascot for like all things kids related and VBS related, and the mascot, his name was Salty,
I knew that's where you were
and
going.
it was this
Salty
big,
the Songbook. I
it
loved
was
him
this
so
big
much.
giant purple hymnal.
Yes.
And we had like like your
Yes.
little inflatable
Yes.
costumes. We had the Salty.
Yes. I
like
remember him. I loved Salty.
I dressed up. I was Salty one
Oh
year.
my gosh, that's awesome.
This thing, because it got stored in the attic in the
Yep.
church, and it stunk to high
Oh, I
heavens.
believe
It
it.
smelled like every raccoon had lived in Salty for a moment, because it was this big giant book. That's what it was.
Man.
It was this,
Do you remember? I remember doing this. I don't think they did this for VBS, but I know that we did it at church camp. What was the name of it? Down by the creek bank. Do you remember that? Down by
Yeah.
the creek bank, by the old holler log.
Yes.
Yes. I loved that.
I think the theme was bullfrogs and
And
butterflies. You
Yes.
must be born again.
Yes.
What in the world is happening right now?
Yes. Yes. I loved that. And Scott and I loved
There's
watching.
so much dust
I
being
know.
kicked off those memories.
Scott and I loved watching McGee and Me.
Yes. Yeah,
Loved-
that was a good
We
one.
loved watching McGee and Me. We really liked that.
So, but like all of these things, like I and it's funny because we talk about these things, and it's also it's an incredible trip down memory lane.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so grateful that my parents kind of like were kind of like living out that train up a child
Mhm.
scripture, train up a child in the ways that they should go, and they will never depart from
Yeah.
it. And because later on in life, I kind of went and did my own thing. I was building my testimony, as I like to say.
I like that.
But it it was I just remember just always finding peace through learning the word and the
Yeah.
scripture. And whenever I just finally had enough of that lifestyle, I knew that I knew where I had to turn from.
Mhm.
And so it was important for me in my childhood and the way that I was raised, because later on in life, I knew that I could
Yeah.
rely on Jesus because it was always a constant growing up. Those moments for kids are just super
Yeah.
important. And I think that if you grabbed any one of our kids that attended VBS last year and some of the themes, they would
Mhm.
be able to tell
Oh,
you
for
those
sure.
things.
For sure.
And so how do we create those moments? Like what are those God moments that our kids
Yeah.
like how do you approach that? And like cuz it's all it's you want it to be fun
Yeah.
and you want to have games and you want to have these memorable snacks and all that and the
Yeah.
music and this and that. But the important part of it
Yeah.
as a children's pastor is creating these God
Yeah.
moments. Like how do you approach that situation
Mhm.
and just try to allow the Holy Spirit just to do whatever he does?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks a lot, Jared. No, I think that actually while you were talking, the thing that kind of hit me was, and when I think back of when I was a kid and we were doing VBS and we were doing kids camp and we were doing those like things along those lines, the things that stuck with me aren't necessarily the lessons
Yeah.
cuz I'm old. I don't remember what I learned 30 years ago. In those, but it's the relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that we just did that Super Saturday thing this past weekend, and I did the one on children's ministry. I led the training on children's ministry, and I told them, I said, Every kid is one caring adult away from a success story."
Yeah.
And I feel like when you look at things like that, when you look at, Vacation Bible School from last year, when you look at camp, when you look at even just Sunday morning type things that stick, we as kids ministry, we may not always see something to flourishing. Like we may not see it happen. We may
Yeah.
just be that seed that's planted
Yeah.
and then goes and somebody else is the one watering it and everything else. But I
Yep.
think a lot of it comes down to those relationships that you're building.
Mm.
Because when you can build those good foundations and those good relationships, then people are going to remember how you treated them. People are going to remember those things more so than anything else. And I think, especially in kids' ministry and just with kids in general, I think the relationships that you build are so important.
Yeah, I think that so many I mean, you can remember the
Yeah.
teachers and the
Yeah.
leaders
I can
of
still remember, like, Doris Shake
yeah.
taught me the books of the Bible growing up, like the
Yeah.
song. And I remember Barbara Keys was our kids pastor growing up, and just the relationship. I still like Barbara is still part of my life to this day.
Wow.
And so, it's just really cool to just think back on those relationships and just say, like, man, they taught me a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And the impact that they had on my life. I mean, Scott has even talked about Barbara. Scott talked about her a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
about the impact that she had on our lives growing up. And literally, Barbara is still a part of our life to this day. Our families are extremely close. And so, but I think when I think back of just being a kid, I just remember the relationships that I had with people.
Mm.
And those relationships, whether it be with a kids pastor, whether it be with a volunteer, whether it be, with a counselor at camp, I still remember the first time I went to kids camp. Carrie Robertson was my counselor, and
Yeah.
I cried the first day because I had never gone to something like that before, and I was scared and I was nervous. But Carrie made everything okay. Like she made it okay, and I stayed the whole week, and I was fine. And so, um, I just think about that kind of stuff, like just building those relationships, and how important that is, and then planting those seeds.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like I said, we're not gonna, as kids pastors, we may not see all of that. We may just see the seed that's being planted, and it's gonna be someone else that's gonna come along and water and watch it grow.
Yeah.
And so it's just been it's cool to think back, even just last year, like just the relationships I feel like that were built last year, with volunteers and kids. It was really cool. It
Yeah.
really was cool to see people that don't necessarily volunteer all the time step in. One of my favorite things from VBS last year was was you and the way that you're like you had that kindergarten and first grade group.
That was the
And
tough one too.
it was
Nobody
a
signed
tough
up
one. It
for
was
it.
a tough one, but you and Erica made that so much fun for them. And I
Yeah.
guarantee you that a year later, those kids would know, like, that guy was so funny. He was like walking like an octopus out through the room because
Yeah.
what you did, they did. And
Yeah.
so, and it's all about, I really do. I really and truly think that like relationships are so important, especially like we've had this big thing, this big push right now in Kids Men. And I tell this to my volunteers all the time. So we have it posted in the kids wing back in the back hallway, and it's our mission and our values. And our values are to for that every kid that comes in knows that that they belong, that they're safe, that they're known, and that they're loved. And one of the things that I tell my volunteers in our morning huddle on Sunday morning is that it's not just that they are known, belong, loved, and safe here with us, but that God knows them, loves them, that they're
Yeah.
safe with God, and that they belong with Him. And so it's not just by us, but it's by God as well. And so I think that we do that by those relationships.
Mm.
And I do believe that you're right. I think that kids do remember the fun things that we did last summer, but I would venture to say that they also remember the fun people and the relationships that they built as well.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same boat with remembering people that were volunteered, that stepped up to the plate and just helped make those events happen. Some obviously we remember some of the songs, and but I remember the names of people that just had an impact on my life growing up.
Yeah.
We called him Commander Everett because he was this old retired Army drill instructor, and he was strict, but he taught us a lot to
Yeah.
hey, no cutting up. This is go time. I remember people like Geraldine Miles, Margaret Bayer, just investing so much time in my life. And I remember even just growing up, like older, outside of these events, they would
Yeah.
just invite me over to their house. And we would eat cookie dough
Yeah.
and just talk about anything and everything, and it was amazing. And I obviously they live in Louisiana still, and so
Yeah.
they're on Facebook, but I don't do social media all that much. But I just remember the conversations. I would still be able to pick them out in the crowd, and
Yeah.
just they
And
had
it's that impact of those relationships, I think, that goes a long way. It really does. Like,
yeah
part of what we were talking about on Saturday was that, you know, um, we were talking about nurturing environments and how those nurturing environments can take a kid from like surviving to thriving. And a
yeah
lot of times, especially in today's day and age, a lot of our kids that come into our kids' ministries are surviving.
yeah
Like, I know, and I think Anna was talking about it in our staff meeting yesterday, like the dynamics and like the makeup of the youth group that we have. And, when I think of this kids ministry that we have, it's very similar to the kids ministry that I grew up in,
yeah
with the exception that Scott and I attended a church that had a bus ministry. And we went to the different low-income housing complexes in Charleston, and we had an actual bus
yeah
that we bussed kids into Elk River, and they would come every Sunday. And so one of the things that Scott and I always would do, we would ride the bus in the mornings. We lived on church property, and so when Billy
yeah
Wiseman would get in that bus on Sunday mornings to go pick kids up, we were on that bus with Billy, and we were going and we were picking kids up and we were bringing them back. And so I think that especially now, well, while we don't have a bus ministry, we have so many kids that are coming in to our kids ministry that are from homes that are broken homes. We have kids that are in foster care. We have kids that have lost parents. We have kids that are being raised by grandparents. Like, there's all these different dynamics of kids and what they're going through. We have kids with diagnosed, ADHD or anxiety or whatever the case may be, and they're experiencing things that 20, 30 years ago we may not have experienced, and in a very different way. Plus, all these kids just came through a stinking pandemic that we've not had to deal with, and who knows what that's gone and done with
yeah
their mental health. But like, I just think that it's so important to know that like it reliable and consistent adults can help make a nurturing environment.
Yep.
And when we have those people that are willing to say yes to kids ministry, they are not just saying yes to kids ministry, they're saying yes to people.
Yeah.
And they're saying yes to making an impact on people's lives.
Look how many kids each and every single Sunday just they're like, "Oh, Mr. Randall. Mr. Randall.
Randall and
Yeah.
Zov, they are like celebrities in Kids Men. I'm being serious. Like, they are like celebrities in Kids Men. We're doing this thing right now where the kids are bringing in, oh my goodness, highlighters. They're bringing in highlighters for Beauty Day. And so in October, we bring in socks. We do Socktober in October. And at the end of the month, anybody who brings in socks gets to throw a pie in an influencer's face. And so the first year we did it, it was just me, Zav, and Randall. Those were the only three people that did it. This year, they did me, Zav, Randall, Miss Sherry, Kristen, Justin. So like all of the influencers that are back there for a lot of first and second service were willing to do it. So then this time around, I said, all right, we're doing these highlighters. If you bring them in, and I'm like, I don't want to do pies because that's our October thing. I don't want to do that now. I'm like, what are we going to do? I'm like, ice bucket challenge. Like, if you bring in the highlighters, you'll get to do an ice bucket. Like, you'll get to dump ice water. And so I had said on me, because, you know, I'm here for both services. Not everybody wants to be soaking wet and have to deal with that all the time. Next thing I know, Randall comes up to me and he's like, so I told the kids if they bring in highlighters, they can put makeup on me. And I'm like, what? He's like, the girls want to paint my beard. And I'm like, what? What in the world? So the girls are painting Randall's beard. If they bring in highlighters, they get to paint Randall's beard. And then the kids this past Sunday were like, Zav, 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 Zav.
Yeah.
And I was like, Zav, it looks like you're getting water poured on you too, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you, because the kids they absolutely love.
Yeah.
They love it. They think it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. A couple of things from that. It gets them excited about coming to church, but then also it teaches them generosity as well, which is amazing. You know, with the Socktober that we do, with the water filters, the highlighters, even with the amount that they gave for VBS last year, which was absolutely incredible. Which went to our Ecuador food packing. It was just, it's just amazing to see a bunch of, 6, 7, all the way up to 11 and 12-year-olds give that amount, that much.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's some parents that are just like, yeah, we'll just go buy highlighters.
Right.
But what they're doing is they're like, hey, is there anything that I can do for this? So they're working hard to achieve this goal, to be able to give, things
for sure.
to these causes that are helping make a difference, not only in our neck of the woods, but also all over the world as well.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I'm excited for VBS. I'm excited for this year, and just the theme. I like tinkering with things. So gadgets and gizmos is the theme, correct?
Gadgets and gizmos.
What's the tagline there?
Uniquely wired, and wonderfully made. Yes, uniquely wired and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, uniquely wired and wonderfully made.
So it's like all these machinery parts and kids gadgets and gizmos.
I can never say it right. I keep saying gadgets and gazmos, and the kids are like, "What?" And I'm like, I don't know. You can just read it. Gadgets and
gizmos is what you get whenever you eat Taco Bell.
I'm struggling. I can't with you. I cannot with you.
Well, one of the things, like another cool part of like the summertime is you're the camp director for the Church of God Ministries. Well, at least for the last couple of years you have been.
Well, for summer celebration, yes. And then I'm on the planning committee for Camp Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the planning committee
Kids
for
Camp is coming up.
It is.
Camp Sunshine.
July 5th through the 8th. And our theme this year is Survivor.
Okay. Yeah, it's
going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a whole bunch of kids putting out torches?
I mean, you never know.
The tribe has spoken.
The tribe has spoken.
Yeah. No, I have spoken. I've called your mom. They're coming to pick you up.
I called your mom. She's coming to get you. Your torch is being put out.
What
No.
if some kid's like, I got an immunity idol?
Well, so we're gonna split them into teams. So they'll when they come in on that Wednesday, they'll be split into their teams. They'll get their buffs or whatever, and we're gonna have 4 different teams. They'll get their colored buff, and then that evening they're gonna do a tribal council. And so we're going to have them make their own like tribe flag. They're
Oh,
gonna
that's
have to
cool.
do a cheer or a chant, then things like that. So that'll go with them.
Is there an eating challenge? Please say there's an eating challenge.
I should do an eating challenge. We'll see.
Yes.
But so they'll do different.
I mean, you got to think of like the high points of
Yeah.
Survivor.
Oh,
and
yeah.
How do we make this
Yeah.
memorable for kids? Because they probably have never seen the show.
No. So we'll do. They're gonna do like different obstacles and things like that to
Yeah.
kind of earn points. We are gonna hide an immunity idol. We're going to hide one of those every day, but instead of it giving immunity because nobody's getting voted out, it'll give them extra points towards their team. So they'll have that to kind of have to look for whenever they're out doing different things. They're going to, like I said, they're going to be doing obstacle courses.
You know what you should do?
We're going to do puzzles because a lot of Survivors, a lot of those brain bender type puzzle things. So we're going to do some of those as well.
You know what you should do? Is make the idol like have like an effect. So if they find it for the day and they want to maybe swap points for like say if like their team got less points. And there's a catch to it, not just like extra points.
I like it.
But like if there's like a race
Take
like
points
the next
from other
day.
people.
If you have like there's a race the next day, then you have to like the other team can't start for like 5 seconds or whatever.
I like it.
Like they're like so
make it
there's
a disadvantage for the other
yes,
teams.
for the other teams.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm.
I do like that.
Where you at, ABC? I need to
Yep.
be signed up for
Yep.
your creative team.
They're
for
gonna. One of the
Survivor.
things that I'm excited about for camp is one of their. So last year we made tie-dye T-shirts.
Oh yeah.
That was a
Yeah, we
pain.
still have them.
Yeah, that was a pain. That was a pain in the butt. So we're not doing tie-dye T-shirts this year.
Yeah.
We're actually doing pillowcases. And so the kids are going to do pillowcases, and we've got like that fabric paint or whatever that they can do stuff with. And then they're going to make them to where they can do like autographed pillowcases. So they'll get to have their friends sign their pillowcases.
That's cool.
And I was like, that'll be fun because kids always like doing stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I know like
Whenever
even
they
though
do
it-
like fun runs and stuff at school, they're always signing the
Sign the
shirts.
shirt.
Yeah.
But I know like the kids last year, like they loved. They just for it being such a short period of time, like it's only 2 full days and then 2 half days basically.
Yeah.
But they really did get to meet people from other churches. Landon still talks about a kid named Ari from another church, and he asked me the other day. He said, "Is Ari coming to camp this year?" And I said, "Buddy, I thought Ari was in 5th grade last year. Like, so no, if Ari was in 5th grade, he's not coming." But he still asks about Ari, like still to this day. And so, but it was really cool because some of those kids that were at Camp Sunshine came to summer celebration.
Yeah.
So they got to see each other again. And so it was really cool to kind of see them all hanging out and stuff like that. So I think it'll be fun for them this year. We've got some newbies that are going. Ryan and Olivia get to go for the first time.
Wait,
so
they do? Ryan told me no.
Ryan's old enough, yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, so second grade going into 3rd grade.
Erica, we get some time off
There
in the
you
summer.
go. Luke told me the other day, he said, "Wait a minute, do I not get to go to camp?" And I said,
No,
"Yeah."
That's your last one.
Why wouldn't you go? And he's like, "Well, you said 2nd to 5th grade." I said, "Buddy, you're still in the 5th grade." Okay, good, because I was really worried. I was like, no, like you have to be in 5th grade going into 6th grade and in 2nd grade going into 3rd grade. And he's like, okay, I didn't want to miss it. And I was like, no, you're not missing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have like a favorite like camp, like summer camp, like memory?
Not from kids camp.
Yeah.
From teen camp.
Well, yeah, we're not talking about teen camp.
Yeah. But
We'll have to
from
save
kids
that for
camp,
like a teen. Yeah.
kids camp, I can't, I mean.
The only thing I can remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like it was forever ago.
The only thing I remember was like the last day, the lady that was in charge of the cafeteria made these homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch. And I could still smell them to this day. What are you laughing at? Did you just go,
Nope. I'm just going to keep on
What
going.
happened?
Nothing. I'll tell you later. daggone cinnamon rolls.
Anyways, I missed something,
yeah, you
right,
did.
guys?
So, anyways, um,
Oh,
no, I don't have one from kids camp. I do remember one of the things I did love about kids camp. Well, they did it at all of our camps growing up. Was they had the snack shack, and so man, in the
that's what I was gonna
evenings,
say.
oh, in the evenings, man, it was the best. You'd go down there, and you're like, I have $7. I want one of everything.
Dude, yeah, we would
Especially the last night, because then by the last night they're trying to get rid of everything.
everything,
And
and it
you're
was
like, I
on
want
sale.
this,
They
this,
had
this, this, this.
oh yes,
Oh,
I
it's
think
the
they
best.
robbed like a ice cream truck, and so like they had all the ice creams from the ice cream truck, and then like you said, the last day they're like, we
great.
can't hold this in the freezer
No.
because I mean the following week or 2 weeks after that they had youth camp,
Yeah.
and so they'd had to get in,
Yep.
snacks that older kids would want to eat instead of
Yeah.
like. They didn't
Ring
have
pops.
SpongeBob back in the day, but like
No.
SpongeBob ice cream and
It's
whatever,
like Flintstone. It was Flintstone push
and
pops.
Mario and
It
stuff.
was the
Yeah,
Flintstone push pops.
but then they also would do like homemade cookies and brownies, and like by the last day they would sell them for like $0.25 a
Man.
piece. It was great.
We were in Summersville. There wasn't much to do up there.
Well, it was.
I don't remember if I know when we went to teen camp, we got to go to Summersville Lake, but as kids, I don't think they took us to the lake.
Yeah,
I don't remember. As kids, I don't remember going to lake. I remember we would do water days, like different like things like that, but I don't remember actually ever going to the lake until we were in teen camp.
Yeah,
And then we probably shouldn't have been because we were like cliff jumping and everything else.
yeah.
But
So the camp
Yeah.
that I went to growing up in Louisiana, it was with the Assemblies of God, and they bought this old army barracks like training facility. So like whenever you see like those old movies where it shows like the inside of the barracks, like Forrest Gump, or maybe I can't think of it. Apocalypse Now, I think is what it is, and it shows like this bunk beds lined fill like building, and so it was like on either side, and they had 3 buildings like that for boys, and then on the opposite end of the camp they had 3 buildings like that for girls.
yeah.
And so it was absolute pandemonium because there was probably 250 boys and 250 girls. There was kids everywhere. There was always some kid like crying, walking to the nurse's station with like blood dripping from their head. It was chaos in the 80s.
That was me.
Right?
That was me.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, for when you said camp, the first thing that went to my head was my senior year of high school. We went to camp.
Yeah.
And there's this ropes course in the woods at the Summersville campground.
Just can't get away with the crap that
I'm
we
just-
did growing
No!
up. Like
So
nowadays
there's
they're
this
like
ropes course, and have you ever seen like where they do that spider web type thing where
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you have to pass people through, and like you can only like certain squares are only able to be used so many times, and you have to get your team from this side to this side and whatever. So I had already come through, and I was on the side that was catching people at this point in time because
Yeah.
there were like 6 or 7 of us that had already come through. And we had like 2, it was the middle row that we still had enough people that could be passed through. Like you could just pass them through at that point. And so there's this girl, her name's Courtney, and she's being passed through. And we weren't being timed. So
Yeah.
why my group decided to do this, I still to this day do not know why they did this. They decide that they're going to Courtney's legs are through, like on our side where we're trying to get her.
Yeah.
The other side decides that they're going to start rushing, and they take her body and fling her through. And the only thing to catch Courtney is my face. Her whole body comes, slams me in the face, and without thinking, I look down. There is blood everywhere.
Oh, man.
I like pull my shirt up. I'm holding my nose. Like it is, literally blood is everywhere. I'm bleeding through my shirt at this point in time. And the counselor, his name was Lucas. He goes, we got to get you somewhere now.
Thanks.
Broke my nose at church camp.
Yeah.
And I'm like crying because it was awful. I literally caught her whole body weight on my face. And
I've broken my nose. It's
oh,
not
it was
fun.
awful. And so I call my mom and dad, and I'm like, I cannot believe this just happened. Mom's like, I can because it's you. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's awful. So ended up, I didn't know. And then I was sad because I was like, they're going to make me leave camp because my nose is broke. But they didn't. They let me stay. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
so when you said memories from camp, all I could think is Courtney's whole body coming and smacking me in the
Yeah.
face and breaking my nose.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
good times.
Look, I'm excited for the kids that are going to be able to maybe experience this
Yeah.
again, or for the newcomers as well. I've
They're
been
gonna
just
have
been
fun. I think I will say, like, one of the things that I think, even as as the adult last year, one of the things that I loved was seeing. So my room, I had all girls.
yeah.
You know, this whole all girl room, and I had the younger girls from Southridge. So I had those that were second and third graders, and it was just really cool to be in that room. I was exhausted by the end of the week, but like sitting in the room that last night, they did not go to, and I wasn't going to force them. It was their first time at camp. Like, whatever. I remember doing these things when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so, like, but you'd hear one of them, they'd start to go to sleep, and then you hear, and then it was like this giggle all the way. But that was one of my favorite things, like at camp last year, was just that last night listening to them tell stories
Yeah.
and laughing and just the genuine like joy and excitement that they had. And literally, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and finally, I was like, "All right, girls, we gotta go to bed." And they're like,
Yeah, the
"Okay."
boys would have been asleep a lot sooner than that.
Yeah, no,
No
they
2 o'clock
literally
stuff.
you would hear one of them. It would start to get really quiet, and then you'd hear,
Yeah.
and then the next one would start laughing, and then the next one. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But they had so much fun. Like it really was. It was just really cool to see those relationships being built last year,
Yeah.
and even with the boys were funny because, they played kickball the whole time. Like you would think that like you'd get bored. No, they had a blast. They've already asked, "Are you taking the kickball again this year?" "Yes, we'll take kickball again this year."
Yeah.
So it just little things like that they were excited about. That now they get to have their new friends experience with them
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, that is
So,
exciting. Where if a parent is super interested about sending their kid to kids camp or
Yes.
maybe VBS, kind of where can they find more of
Yeah.
this information?
So for VBS, if you want to volunteer, hey,
Hey,
you
hey.
can do that. You can go to src.life/VBS23.
Yeah.
So on that site, you can register your kid. You can sign up to volunteer. You can look at our Amazon wish list, and you can also give towards VBS. So all of those things are on there. And then for camp, you can also go to src.life. And there's a Camp Sunshine tab there. You can sign your kid up there. You can pay online, or out here in the lobby, we have paper copies if you would rather do it that way. There's paper copies in the lobby at all the check-in stations. And so we are trying to we had 33 kids from Southridge go to camp last year.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to take that many again this year. It really was awesome. Just I couldn't believe how many kids. By the time it was all said and done, I'm like, we had how many kids going to camp? 30?
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? So,
Yeah, it
and
is exciting.
and what is really exciting is that I already have 2 male chaperones.
Oh, wow.
I know. Last year it was like pulling teeth to find them. Randall was like, I'm taking off the whole week. And I was like, shut up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already requested off or is requesting off. And then Will also said he would do it. And I told him he couldn't back out because he said it in front of Anna.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we already have like girl chaperones signed up as well too. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
that's exciting.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know my kiddos are.
Oh yes.
I'm looking forward
Do
to
you know
hearing.
that my niece texted me like a month ago and asked if she could wear crop tops to camp?
Oh, yep. Nope.
That girl is wild.
Yep.
She's wild. She's so excited for camp. She'll
Yep.
be the one I have to worry about.
Whenever people say stuff like that, I'm like, that's my boss's daughter. So I'm just gonna whatever you say, I agree.
That girl is wild. I love her. She is wild.
Cool. Time for the mystery meat. For you, this is the mystery meat question. If you've ever joined us or maybe this is the first time you're listening to the Pastor's Potluck podcast, what we do is we have a jar here. with a whole bunch of random questions, and it's just like
I've
it's
gotten
just like a
really
potluck.
weird ones the last few times.
This one is it's going to be a little
Okay.
bit more tame, but it's just like a potluck. It's just you come across a dish and you don't know what it is. It's completely random, and
It's a
yeah,
mystery.
it's a mystery, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good.
Mm.
But for you, what would be the hardest thing to give up? Awkward silence.
Yeah. Um. Oh my gosh. The hardest thing to give up.
Yes. It could be anything, like food related.
Oh my
It could be
gosh.
habitual. It could be. It doesn't even have to necessarily be something that's negative in your life.
I know what it would be. The hardest thing that I would have to give up is my silk. It's what I sleep with every night, and I have
Your
since I was a
silk.
baby. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
What is that? Like it's just.
it's
Is it
like
just like
it's
bed
like a
sheets?
it's like a blanket, like your like baby blanket type thing.
Yeah.
It would be like a baby blanket, but mine is, I call it my silk, and I couldn't do it.
Is it actually made out of silk?
Yeah, it's old nightgown. It's an old nightgown that was my grandma's, and I've had it since I was a baby.
Okay.
And I would not be able to give it. Like if I at night, if I can't find it to sleep, I kind of have a panic attack. I'm like,
Really?
where's it at? Yeah, yeah. It goes everywhere with me. It'll go to camp.
And it's just a nightgown
It's
that
like
was your
a-
grandmother's.
There's 3 pieces. There's 3 pieces.
Yeah.
There's a pink one, a blue one, and a red one.
And you have to have all three?
They're all knotted together.
Is it falling apart?
Yeah. I mean, it's 30-some years old.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. But I've had
Um,
it since I was a baby.
I
so.
think the hardest thing for me would to be give up processed sugar,
Mm,
because I eat ice cream. I eat ice cream. I mean, whenever you think of somebody eating ice cream, that's the wrong thing. That's the wrong visual.
Are you going to
Somebody
get
just-
ice cream at lunch today?
No, I'll have some tonight.
Okay.
Like whenever I get home, because I'm real picky about it too. Like I'm a
Mm.
like if they had like the ice cream version of a sommelier, which is like the person that knows everything about wines, I could tell you everything you need to know about ice cream.
He's the ice cream connoisseur.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've tried most every single national brand that there is. I like cereal. That's processed sugar.
Cereal is good.
I like pastries. That's processed sugar. I like processed sugar, and just if you just give it to me in granulated form, I'd probably just eat it. But
He just
um,
wants all of that
I
stuff.
know it look.
But
I
you're
think-
drinking your water.
Yeah, I drink
See?
a lot of water,
You got to flush all that out.
dude. I think that's why I'm like so like tightly wound, I guess. Like I'm like that
Full of sugar.
that little toy, the little monkey that you crank on the back of it and just walks through here just clapping his cymbals all the time.
Oh, my God.
I'm like the chattering teeth.
It makes me
you
think
know?
of Tommy Boy. He's like, I'm a maniac.
For real.
That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah. So like processed sugar I think would be, and I know I need to give it up because diabetes like runs in my family.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be diabetic, but
But I really love my ice cream.
yeah, I really do. And I have come to the conclusion that at some point in my life I will take insulin.
I will take it because I'm not giving up that ice cream.
Well, I don't know, maybe I don't. I'm trying to get like back in shape too, like running and stuff like that. So maybe that'll help offset it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Well.
care. So src.live/VBS23.
Yep.
And is there one for kids camp as well?
Yes, but it's a weird one. It's src.life/camp-sunshine.
We should just do camp.
I
or kids
know
camp.
it generated it on its own, and I didn't think to change it. Now I just haven't
It's
gone
all
back.
good.
So, but if you go to src.life and you click on the kids, like the What's Happening page, Everything's on what's happening, and it's also on the Kids Men page on
Yep.
SRC.life.
Underneath
So,
family
yeah,
ministries.
Family Ministries, Kids Ministries.
It's easy to find it.
Yes.
Real super easy
Yes.
to find. Well, hey, look, I enjoyed this conversation.
Me
A little trip down
too.
memory lane. I
I
can't believe
know.
that we
Do you
knew
know what
so-
has been going through my head this whole time?
What?
The bullfrogs and butterflies.
Dude, for real.
All that's
I-
in my head right
I know.
now.
It kept on coming back in my head. I'm like, I can't believe I remembered that.
Ugh.
So, hey, thank you so much
head.
for joining us for another episode of the Potluck. Praying for the kids this summer and these incredible moments that they're going to have. And if you want to sign up for your kids to go to these things, src.life is the place to be.
Yes.
For all information happening here at Southridge Church. We love you all. Thank you for listening and joining in every single week. We'll see you next Friday. Peace.
Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.